guys, welcome back to the channel. We are putting our injectors in. So we have these 400% that we went over on the previous video. Again, these are from Dynamite. Big thank you to those guys, Skylar, Lenny, Chris, the crew over there. We are putting them in. We are halfway through it. I was filming a TikTok about how to install them, so I'm going to continue with the time lapse here. But that is our goal today. I'd like to get the fuel system bolted on. That way we have less leaks. And it'll give me more to him and haw about. Just kind of going through the motions on this deal here. In the meantime, we sent out our turbo covers to get powder coated. Mosley Precision Coating down in Texas reached out via Facebook. I talked to the guy, super awesome guy so far. I'll show a picture of the powder coat that he's done. I overnighted it Tuesday. He got it this morning. It's coated now, and then hopefully he said it'll ship out by Friday. So awesome turnaround time there. Just for reference, that guy had no idea who I was. So if people ever get that impression that I try to bend the rules and stuff like that, like I really don't. Like I just try to talk to people like I'm a normal person. No one really cares about the YouTube presence or anything else, and like if you let that get to your head, like eventually people are gonna think you're just an arrogant a-hole. So he did it all. We're gonna pay our bill, but I'm excited. Let's get back to work on these injectors. Now we have our injectors, feed tubes. I went ahead, put our rocker bridges on. I just use a little bit of assembly lube. This is a brand used set. This is our old backup set. The other ones just got a little too hammered. I don't know if I ever showed you guys up in depth, but this is kind of what happened. They got some gouging and stuff like that. There's one that just got absolutely nuked on the inside. Yeah, this is the one right here. You guys look, like it's, I don't know, part of me wanted to send it just because the other part of me is like, oh, I got like 4 sets of these suckers. So we stripped apart our core engine, and I'm going to replace the rocker arm bolts. Some of these, the threads just didn't look too promising. So we're going to use the same rocker arms. All of the pedestals and everything looked fine. It was just the bolts that got a little hammered. Meyer noticed it too when he pulled this one apart, that the bolt kind of looked like it had stretched, excuse me. So I'm going to get the rocker arms thrown on, and we'll get our valve lash set. Remember guys, I set the valve lash a little loose because we are about to do a hot retorque. It's always a good idea to we're going to poke just a little hole, or maybe just pull this piece of tape off so the engine can breathe. It's going to be extremely hard to turn this engine over because we have the injectors in it, and we're going to go one by one. Now we're at TDC. It looks like probably TDC number 1 compression. So I should be able to start with the number 1 rocker arm and go from there, just looking at it. Okay, a little progress update. We got the rocker arms on. I was actually incorrect, so I'm glad I took a double check. We were at TDC compression number 6. So I used the push rods. Pretty easy to check it that way, in my opinion. We did get all of our rail fuel lines and return lines replumbed in. So now we are, I would say, sealed as far as the fuel system goes, which is good. You don't want to let that thing sit open. Just realized we have a race valve in there. Not too sure what I'm going to do about that. Skylar seems pretty damn confident about these injectors, so maybe we'll just let that ride for right now. We could put the rocker box on. Probably do that, keep all the dirt out, and then we'll probably fill this thing with oil. I did kind of spin it over a few times. I mean, this thing is still pretty dang tight. So all in all, I'm happy with it. I think we made the right decision given what we're trying to do with it. So. Okay, so if you couldn't tell by that time lapse yesterday, we got our Steed Speed 3000 all changed up here. Reason being that we're switching to this one is more for our single turbo setup more than anything. And I don't like switching manifolds back and forth, so I'm not going to sit here and say that stainless one did not work. It works great. But for our single turbo configuration, this is going to work better. And because I don't want to swap manifolds back and forth, we are going to go ahead and put this one on. Now, I did get this one used. Originally, it wasn't for me, and then I decided that person didn't want it. So I was like, we'll give it a shot. So this is the latest and greatest from Steed Speed. This is, again, the Steed 3000. Most notably, I would say the biggest difference over like your comp manifold is they are a little closer to the cylinder head. Like they don't stick out as far. I want to say it's like an inch shorter this way. And then if you guys look at like the ports and stuff, they actually taper down on the bolt hole. Like if you look at it like this and then you look here, it steps down. So they definitely re-engineered the comp style manifold for this. I'm very excited to give this a shot. We did get our wastegate flanges from Stainless Pros. I get a lot of questions on where I buy all my material from. Stainless Pros, again, they're down in Texas. Most of the time it's a couple day ship. This stuff is clean enough. You don't even really, if you start touching it, you have to acetone it, but it is very clean, prepped, ready to weld out of the box. I highly recommend these guys. But anyway, we got our little stubs welded on. These are about 1.25 inches. And then we just Cerakote in a can, guys. The high heat Rust-Oleum right up there works pretty good. And then the best part is if we scratch it, ding it up, you just psh, psh, psh. And I mean, historically speaking, Steed Speed coatings don't usually hold up the best anyway. And that's not a stab at them. It just is what it is. Like any coated manifold tends to flake a little bit. So these are our 50 mil gate ports. I did line them up almost identical to our stainless. However, this manifold does cheat them off a little bit more. So what I mean by that is it'll be close, but I think we're gonna have to remake our pipes. Let me show you guys here with a tape measure. Let me get some tape measure pulled out here. Oh God, ouch, that was my finger. All right, so if you look here, from the flange of the head to the wastegate, we're about 2.5 inches. Come over here to this guy. I think we're gonna be, yeah, a lot closer here. We're about 1 inch. So unfortunately, our wastegate pipes will have to be remade, but we were already planning on it. I bought the flanges. So let's get this bolted on. Now, the one thing I dislike about this manifold, I don't owe Steed a dime on this. So these are the old studs David and I used to run. They don't fit, okay? Then Stainless, when they sent me my new manifold, sent me these studs right here. These are a 14 mil nut with a very small washer. And you guys can see here, they fit, but when you go to put a socket on it, it doesn't fit. Now, could I caulk it and make it fit? Absolutely. But once this is threaded into the head, it won't work. So we are left with the only option that I have, which is these stage 8 locking bolts. Now, with the stage 8s, you put them on here. We can't even get a flag to go on here without rubbing the manifold. So we'll have to probably grind some of the flags down. I don't know what you guys call these. I call these flags, but essentially they do not fit. So we will have to do that at a later date. For right now, though, I'm gonna hope I have enough so we can continue moving on here, and we will get this mounted on the truck, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. We had some issues with the shipping. That is truly not their fault. This package went everywhere but California, and it's here now. You guys can see we got our manifold on. I got our hot pipe readjusted, pushed this thing a little further up, and now we're gonna start working on the hood stack. So the issue with the hood stack is that our old hole is over here. So what I'm gonna do is probably cut a new piece of carbon fiber trim ring, and we're just gonna have to make the hole bigger. Like, there's no ifs, ands, ors, or buts about it. The nice part is our wastegates, this pipe actually fits. So I only have to remake one to get it back into this hole. So that's not too bad. And I'm looking, I think we should be able to clock our existing intercooler pipe to line up. Like, it's looking promising. Not saying that it is, but it's looking decent. So we got it all powder coated. I mean, that is a pretty, let me wipe this wrap off here. I mean, he nailed it. So big thank you to that guy and his company. They got it turned around. Like I said, I shipped it to him on Tuesday. He got it Wednesday. Thursday night, it shipped back to me. Unfortunately, due to UPS, it didn't get here till Monday. But either way, that's 6-day turnaround time. So big thank you to him for getting that done. And now we're going to start working on our hood stack fabbing. I know I promised you guys we'd fire this up. I'm still waiting on Jeff to help me switch the 6.7 driver software in for the injectors. So while we're waiting, we're just going to keep pushing through. I'm going to go ahead and get our hood stack, flange, and our first, I'm sure, I don't know. I kind of was wondering if we could get away with like a 45 with a leg and then 90 straight up. I'm not sure, but I'm going to put the turbine blanket on so that way we don't scratch our freshly Cerakoted housings. And by Cerakote, I mean, there's this Rust-Oleum high heat paint up there on the shelf. So that's what I'm going to keep working on, but it definitely looks a lot cooler now that we have a all black manifold. We left some of the stainless raw just because I don't know, to me, like, stainless piping, like, it looks so good if you weld it correctly and all the colors and stuff. So I am more of a fan of leaving it. Maybe this will grow on me to where we coat all the other pipes, but for right now, we're going to leave some of it raw and stainless, especially because like our wastegates are raw. We'll just leave some of it raw. And I can't wait for this all to clash with all the billet, and then we powder coated those. But either way, we could have polished these, but then they just, Jim, if you're watching this, it's nothing against your talent or skill. These turbos definitely would have came to you, but I just, polished is so hard for me to keep clean, as you could tell by my valve cover here. You know, it's just one of those things, like, I appreciate you, and I know you would have done a great job, and I tried to send you work, but the polish life is just so hard for me to maintain. You can't tell by the welder going hard. We have finished our hood stack. We are waiting to blow the hole a little bigger and finish this off, but it's mostly done, and I'm waiting for one more piece of 3/8 rod. I only had one piece left, so we got one welded in there, but we got that all done. Yeah, pie cuts. Ooh, not a fan. Had to do it. I hate to do it, but it is what it is. We did set us up a lot better with our new hole for the single turbo. And then tonight we worked on gates. I wanted to put them a little higher. I cut them a little short, so we ended up cutting. This one actually fit, this back one. We cut it, welded a new piece on there, it's tacked, and then this one we had to do all new to get it scooched back. So we got a pie cut, a 90, a pie cut, and then a straight. Again, not very proud of pie cuts. If you're a fan that loves pie cuts, then cool, but I'm not a fan. There was just no way to get some of this stuff to fit without it, and that to me is what a pie cut is designed for, right? Like, if you can't make it fit with your regular angles, then resort to pie cuts. Making the whole piping out of pie cuts, I'm not a fan of, but in this case scenario, it is what it is. So I'm gonna get this all welded up, and then I'll show you guys probably once we get the hood stack on, kind of what we gotta do. Basically, we were able to use about 2 inches of that hole. So what I've decided is we are going to make new trim rings out of carbon fibre to kind of match the rest of the truck, and it'll just kind of have like a swoop over here. Maybe put a sticker that says oops, I'm not sure. Or maybe we'll get a new hood, but for right now we're gonna let this rock. I gotta go finish weld both these wastegate pipes, and that'll probably be it for tonight. Yeah, exciting stuff, guys. All right, guys, last night we were doing the fab work. Just checking in with you guys today. We went through with Jeff and installed our 6-7 injector drivers and changed up the injector map for the new map. Big thanks to Skylar for that. And we just went through a couple things, make sure it's all set up where I don't accidentally grab some 5.9 stuff anymore. So big thank you to Jeff. I will finish weld the wastegate pipes, and then we will probably fire this pig up here at the end of this video like I had promised. Yeah, but this is all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. All right, folks, the moment we've all been waiting for. I got the oil lines, turbos, anytime you let a turbo sit, I always just pump a little bit of oil in them so they don't start dry. I have our intake pipe on, so that way the map sensor works correctly and the barrow, as well as the intake temp. So I just got this, just a couple bolts on here kind of loose. We're going to crank on this without the injectors for right now. Another thing I realized when clocking this belt tensioner was I could actually add more tension to it. So I'm curious to see, we went 2 more notches down and gave it a lot more engagement on the tensioner. So I'm curious to see if that helps our belt situation for the intermediary. And then we got the wrap fixed. So gave this the old college try. Not too bad, if I say so myself. And now we're gonna go ahead and roll this thing out and give it its first breath of air. Not before we don't remove that rag though, that would be bad. Now we are not gonna make the mistake that we have in the past and roll this sucker out without it actually firing up, because we are alone today and I do not have a way to push it back in. So battery's on. That's not a good sign. That means this sucker's been on all night. That's on me. And our, whatever reason, battery disconnect's been on the fritz. So I had to like almost rip this truck apart when I had Jeff on the phone. Yeah, see, it keeps doing that weird stuff. I don't know what's going on with it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we'll actually be able to see everything. And the main thing we're looking for is oil pressure. We're also gonna crank this with the fuel pump priming, okay? Why did that not crank over? There we go. All right, you guys ready? Okay, still haven't seen any oil pressure. I did make sure there was oil in it, so that is not a big deal here. There it is. Let's try this again. Let me make sure or not. Yeah, everything's hooked up. This is exactly why when you let it sit like this, you want to crank it without any fuel. That is very interesting. Let us take a dive in this old girl here and see why we don't have any oil pressure. Oil pressure sensor is plugged in, so really not too sure what is going on here. Let me try cranking on a little more. The only thing I can think of is, oh, you know what? I know what it is. It's because we changed the oil filter. It's got to fill that whole oil filter back up. That's the problem. All right, now we got some oil pressure. I'll admit nominal, but let me go plug the injectors in. Tell you what, guys, it feels good to be back in the seat of this old girl here. Hopefully we have a lot more life left in her. Wow, that's a cold, idle haze right there. It is a little warm outside, but she is alive. Rail pressure, doing rail pressure things. Injectors doing injector things. I mean, all in all, not too bad. Let's see. Do we have EGT doing EGT things? Oil pressure is definitely doing oil pressure things. That is for sure. Gotta smooth out that a little bit there when we drop it off, but then we're gonna watch the oil temp. Let's go take a listen outside the truck here. Slight haze coming out of the old catch can there. Woo. Oh yeah, fire me up. If you were wondering what that noise was, this fell on the ground. Definitely hear some more valve noise. The valve lash is a little loose. I'm also wondering if those new springs are a little louder. We'll definitely keep a track of the valve lash now. I'll check it before I do the hot retorque, just to kind of see if that cam's going away on us or not. Real 50-50. All right, now it's starting to sound better now that it's warmed up, so we'll just chalk that up to a loss for right now. Blow-bys come down. Not bad, not bad. Let's get it pulled in. I'm gonna do a hot retorque and then we'll end this video. All right, and just as promised, guys, we'll check back in. Studs took it great. I went ahead, re-hit all of our manifold studs. I hit our connecting tubes again. Obviously, now we gotta let this thing cool off. Set valve lash. I'm also gonna go ahead and hit a couple of the turbo nuts, bolts. I got about a quarter turn out of some of the connecting tubes, an eighth of a turn out of the others. Studs, I got about a half turn out of. Manifold studs, just kind of a little cinch, but it runs. The warmer it got, the more that noise went away, so I'm starting to think it was all in my head. I'm going to go back and listen, but all the engine vitals and everything point to it running fine. We put it up on the limiter, it seemed to be running just fine. You know, I feel like it is what it is at this point. Like, if it ends up being an issue, we could cut the oil filter open again, but like I said before, I think it'll be just fine. We're all in our heads anyway. So that'll be it. Now, we're going to end this video off here. We do have more fueling upgrades for the quad cab. Now that the hot retorque is done, we got some more work to do. We're going to raise the bar, right? Like, we want to go for more power. In order to get more power, we stepped up with the bigger or better body 6.7 injectors from DDP to run more pressure. Now we're going to go ahead and send our pumps into Exergy to get them changed into Alpha 550s, essentially adding about 10% capacity to our fuel system per pump, right? So instead of 500 mm3 per pump, we're going to have 550 mm3, and it should help. The belt seemed to track straight, so we'll let that go. All the rest of the turbo stuff, no leaks, anything like that. So all in all, I'm happy. Again, these trucks sound weird when stuff's not all the way hooked up. So again, I'm in my head, as you could tell by I keep bringing it up. But hopefully you guys like this one. Drop your comment down below. Jury's still out on Daily Driven or Montana. I don't know yet. We got some stuff we need to finish. But guaranteed diesels in the mountain will be there, whether it is with this truck or not. If it is with this truck, just know we are going to hit it hard. Subscribe if you're not already. And as always, guys, I'll catch y'all on the next one.